Hi everyone. Chapter 9 discusses informal business reports. These are the learning objectives for Chapter 9. Let's start with a basic definition of business reports. Take a look. A business report is an orderly and objective presentation of factual information to aid in making decisions and solving problems. This definition is true of both informal short reports and formal long reports. So, let's break down this definition. First, let's assume we all understand the last part. The purpose of business reports is to help the manager make decisions and solve problems. Problems doesn't mean necessarily that something is broken, but perhaps that something just can be done better or different, or there's something new, maybe to help make money. If this idea isn't clear, post your question in the Cyber Cafe discussion board in Blackboard. Next, let's discuss factual information. Facts are facts, right? Some facts are common knowledge. 1 + 1 = 2. George Washington was the first president of the United States of America. Or was he? Other facts are based in research. Facts are information that can be verified. They can come from surveys or interviews or experiments. To help our audience, we cite the sources of our facts, our evidence. Now, let's talk about the starting point of our definition. A business report is orderly and objective. What does orderly mean? A synonym is organized. What does organized mean? Basically, it means that everything is in its proper logical place. Being orderly or organized means information is easy to find. In long reports, we have a table of contents with headings and subheadings keyed to specific page numbers. Look at the contents page in any book you have. We will talk more about this for long reports in Chapter 10. Short reports must also be orderly. The shorter it is, the less we need a contents page. But we will still have headings and perhaps page numbers. Understand this. Not everyone who reads a report reads it from page 1 to the end. Some readers are only looking for certain information, so we make it as easy as possible for them to find that information. And understand that the order of a report, even with the same content, can change depending on the audience. What does objective mean? Well, it is the opposite of subjective. Objective means it is unbiased. This is where using and citing factual information is important. But it is more than just the content. Objectivity is also about tone. Take a look at this example. 2 sentences. 1. I believe the Mona Lisa is the most important portrait ever painted. 2. The Mona Lisa is the most important portrait ever painted. Which sentence is objective? I'll give you a moment. If you said number 2, well, you are wrong, in a way. Number 1 is clearly subjective, not objective, because of the use of I believe. However, number 2 is the same sentence. It only sounds objective because it does not use I believe. This is key. While we base our reports in facts, we are still interpreting those facts, telling our audience what the so-called facts mean. This by nature is subjective. So to be objective, we first make sure we are using facts, using them correctly and honestly, and citing them, but it also means we make it sound objective by avoiding expressions such as I think, I believe, and in my opinion. Moving on. Short, informal reports, just as long formal reports, can be informational, such as a school report card or a bank account statement or a progress report, or analytical, such as yardstick or comparison reports, feasibility studies, or justification recommendation reports. All of these can also be long formal reports if the topics are more complex and involve large sums of money and are directed to high-ranking executives. The difference between short and long reports are tied into length and audience. Formal reports, long reports will have more parts to it. That's partly what makes it longer. But even in here, the report proper, there's more content. The informal reports are shorter in part because the content is shorter, but also because they don't have the extra parts. In general, here are the characteristics of informal short reports. They only need a short introduction because the reader will be familiar with the content. They use a direct strategy because they are typically positive or neutral information, or even if negative, are addressed to your boss. They use a personal writing style because they are typically written in memo or letter format, or even email or pre-printed forms. And they have less need for a structured coherence plan. Not sure what that is? Don't worry, we'll discuss this more in Chapter 10. As with formal reports, short informal reports require information from secondary and primary sources. Review section 9-3B in your book. We'll go into more detail in Chapter 10. The rest of the chapter covers types of informal reports, including progress reports, which you and your collaborative project team members will write later this semester. Questions? I hope that covered everything. Review Chapter 9. Send me an email if you have questions.